But when you're using a non-custodial solution like a crypto wallet, the player or the user is fully in charge of their own funds. So if I want to route funds onto an online site and receive funds back, I am controlling that. I am controlling my own funds. I'm not relying on a custodian, an operator, some third-party wallet, some payment processor to control my funds. So once you change that dynamic and you can have that interaction in between land-based and online or even multi-state, it fundamentally changes the experience. It's frictionless, it's fast, it's cost-effective for the operator, and it gives a great player experience.
Hey everybody, this is Becky Leggero. I am your host for Hashing It Out for CoinGeek.com. Today I am with Christian Solomine. He is a board advisor to BitBoss. And Christian, I'm so excited to see you here today because we're going to talk about a solution that's based on the BSV blockchain that the gambling industry can use today. And these are the topics that get me super, super excited. So thank you so much for being here. And the main topic we're going to talk about is stablecoins and what BitBoss has done in this area. But first of all, the last time that I saw you, Christian, was in 2015. We were both in another life, other companies in the gambling space. And now you're sitting here with BitBoss. So let's start off by having you describe a little bit about your background in the gambling industry, in particular when it comes to payments.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me again for interviews, Becky. Great to see you again. I've been working in the payments and gaming space now for about 7 years. And my prior role, I was working with mostly online sites, getting them set up with payment processing. And I left the space in 2018 for a couple of years to go work for AI-based software SaaS company startups. And I started doing a networking event here in Colorado where we get together a number of different folks from the gaming industry and just talk about various topics that are happening. And I met the BitBoss team in the fall of last year, and they were just talking about what they were doing with crypto and blockchain for cashless gaming. And they said, we're really looking for somebody that can help us out, map out, go to market and navigate the payments landscape. And I was just, I thought it was funny because, that's exactly what I did at my prior company. So I started talking to the folks about, how I could help them out. And I came on formally as a board advisor in March of this year. And we've had really good success over the last 6 months or so, getting the solution out in front of regulators, in front of operators in various states. And we'll be having our first solution going live here in Colorado with a land-based operator for cashless, and are looking at some really interesting things as it relates to an omnichannel experience for both land-based to online.
Oh, I love it. I love it, especially that you said you're going to be rolling out soon with an operator in Colorado. That's really exciting. And Christian, when I saw your face on the screen for CoinGeek New York for BitBoss, I was like, oh my God, I know this guy. And it makes me really happy that BitBoss has connected with someone like you that has years of experience in the gambling space, especially with payments. And what was it when you saw Matt Dixon and Alex Shore about what they were talking about with their BitBoss cashless casino solution that really intrigued you? What made you say to yourself, okay, this is different and I want to be involved with this?
Yeah, I dabbled a little bit in cryptocurrency, but I didn't know that much. But when they explained the concept to me of what non-custodial really means and how that's used for these sorts of technologies, and I thought through the user experience for both land-based operations as well as online operations. And I'll just give you an example. As things started to get regulated in 2014, and then we had the password repeal, and we started seeing all these sportsbooks applications all across the country, the problems that these operators started to see was, number one, they didn't have an omni-channel strategy. So if I went to a land-based operator, let's just say in New Jersey, and then I wanted to utilize the mobile sportsbook app that they had, those might be conducted and owned by different ownership, maybe not even related to the operator. They might have a FanDuel brand at a land-based casino. There was no interaction between their land-based experience and their online experience. And then taking that a step further, when that sportsbook went multi-state, they were trying to have these experiences where, I might be a player and I live in Philadelphia, but I work in Camden and I'm bouncing back and forth. I couldn't easily move funds in and out of that experience and have a vanilla and homogenized set of interactions with that operator. So these gaming platforms are paying to get money in, paying to get money out, and the player experience is totally bifurcated. It's really broken and it's costly, and you're using money transmitters to move all this stuff around. Same sort of thing on the land-based side. But when you're using a non-custodial solution like a crypto wallet, the player or the user is fully in charge of their own funds. So if I want to route funds onto an online site and receive funds back, I am controlling that. I am controlling my own funds. I'm not relying on a custodian, an operator, some third-party wallet, some payment processor to control my funds. So once you change that dynamic and you can have that interaction in between land-based and online or even multi-state, it fundamentally changes the experience. It's frictionless, it's fast, it's cost-effective for the operator, and it gives a great player experience. So when they told me all this, like, this is really going to be the future of what happens in the industry. And then take that a step further, all your new players that are coming into the ecosystem, your Gen Z, your millennials, their expectations are completely different. They want a Venmo-like experience. So when you're working in non-custodial, you now have the ability, if you and I are on a casino floor, you're out of funds, we've both been KYC'd with the system, and I want to instantly route $100 to you through a press of a button on my smartphone, I could have that experience. You try to do that today with a custodial-based solution, you run into so many different hurdles and so many different pieces that are going to hold that back. But non-custodial changes the game for omnichannel and for online gaming.
Amazing. Yeah. And the terms non-custodial and custodial, I know that we use quite a bit in the blockchain and crypto world. So you have explained why this, how this relates back to the gambling space. So thank you for that. And another word we keep hearing all over the place is stablecoin. This is a big buzzword right now. And we know that this is what BitBoss has been working on and now has available. So I wanted for you, Christian, to actually define, first of all, what a stablecoin is, or stable token.
Yeah, there's a number of different ones out there, but in essence, it is a coin that's pegged to some currency. So it doesn't fluctuate when the market goes up. Bitcoin today at 64,000, which will probably be out of date by the time this airs. But even so, we're seeing large fluctuations. In 3 months, Bitcoin's up 100% or more. So a stable token is going to be pegged to that fiat currency, whether it's the US dollar or euro or whatever it may be. This is really important for online gaming because gaming operators, although they think crypto is interesting, they don't want to hold funds that could be within 2 hours instantly worth 20% less or 20% more per se. They just can't handle that sort of volatility with the margins that are impacting their business and player acquisition costs. So if you create a stable token that's pegged to the US dollar or any other currency, they get that certainty associated with that deposit. So it's not fluctuating on a day-to-day basis. Let's just say they accept funds and you're placing a sports wager and the results might not be for 2 weeks from now or whatever the date is. You have that stability. The second part is, though, with that said, there's a number of stable tokens out there today that truly aren't backed by funds. You may have seen what was recently came out regarding Tether. There's some uncertainty around, is that fully backed by dollars behind it? What BitBoss has created is an actual bank deposit backing that stable token. So it's an FDIC insured version of a stable token that's backed by real US dollars. So that's an important differentiation. It's not held by a trust. It's actually held at a bank with real US dollars. So it's a one-to-one stable token that one is very, very useful for the reasons I mentioned, but also is interesting to regulators because it's tied to a bank, every player is KYC'd, and it's a stable token.
Yeah, I think what really excites me about that is you just said that it's interesting to the regulator, because I know that cryptocurrency for sure, especially when it's in regards to payments, regulators don't like it. It's a real big hurdle, especially when it comes to the regulated US market, which is where you guys are looking at. Tell me about why regulators are okay with this stable coin, and also can you provide a few more details on how it can help with responsible gambling initiatives?
Sure. So and we're doing a lot of education with various different states. But we're not taking today outside cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it may be, and bringing it into the ecosystem. We're allowing players to fund their accounts with fiat, whether it's ACH or via a debit card. They fund a pooled account, and then we issue back that stable token. So that's a really important differentiation. You're not taking unknown outside source of funds. We're taking the player through a KYC process, and they're basically getting a share of a pooled bank account. So those sorts of things make regulators feel better about it. But a lot of it is really just education. Many regulators don't understand the nuance of that and how a stable token with a bank deposit is very, very different than Bitcoin that you've acquired through whatever means that you have. So that piece is very important. And then because we're tracking everything on the blockchain, and we have built-in controls into our token, we can freeze funds in the case of a subpoena. We can freeze funds in the case of exceeding daily or monthly or any other sort of responsible gaming limits, cross-site play. So those are sorts of things that regulators now see the value of. If you're just playing with cash at a casino, you don't know the source of funds, you haven't KYC'd the player, you have no controls over what's happening in that experience, but utilizing blockchain technology, you can. Then the gaming operators find this very, very interesting, because once you have a stable token that you can use at a property, they don't need to use it even for gaming. They could use it to buy a show, to buy a buffet. You get really rich analytics of how your players are interacting with the various products and services that you offer at a property. And having that on blockchain makes it so much easier than traditional ways of tracking player experience.
Yeah, I love this. And when you and I have chatted in the past, I know that the omni-channel aspect of this gets you super, super excited. And you just mentioned that you could use your stable coin or your wallet to fund, to buy your buffet, or you could maybe even book a taxi. But how does BitBoss help enable this kind of omni-channel experience to happen? How are you going to get businesses involved? How are you going to conduct KYC on this? How is that all going to unfold, do you think?
Sure. So when someone utilizes the BitBoss application, they have to KYC themselves. Initially, a lot of the acquisition will be done by the operator. So they're going to promote this solution, and it could be branded for their specific property. And like, hey, you could interact with slot machines, you could interact with table games. That's great. The next piece is peer-to-peer. So creating that excitement and that sort of experience on the floor. And then we also can KYC businesses. So what I anticipate will happen first is the businesses that are leasing or renting space at the land-based property will be the first ones, in addition to the property itself, will be the first ones to come on board. So you could envision, hey, I just won $50. I want to go, I want to go buy some clothing. And that might not be associated at all with the operator. They might just be leasing space in that property. So you could easily, verify and present your mobile device, and then they could take that as a form of payment for whatever you want to buy. So we'll start there, and then you could start expanding outside the operator, much like Venmo does today, where they're allowing, consumer to business payments. We would allow the same sort of thing, but utilizing that stable token. So really just building out an ecosystem, but taking the experience you're having inside the property as you walk outside, having that across properties or even across operators, depending upon who wants to participate and what sort of experience they're looking to have there.
That's so incredibly cool. I love that. And in terms of the user experience, Christian, I know you've mentioned the younger generation and Gen Z and all of this. What about the older generation? People, a lot of the time in Vegas casinos, you see older people and the slot machines and all of this. What if they're, they don't even know what cryptocurrency is. They don't even know about opening wallet and seed phrases and all of this. What is their experience going to be like with the BitBoss product?
The best part about this is you don't need to know anything about cryptocurrency, because it shows up as a credit in your application visually. It's technically stored in a wallet on your phone, and not with a custodian of the operator. But from a player's perspective, it looks much like they'd be playing a free-to-play game or an online game where I'm rolling credits on and I'm rolling credits off. So when I hit my cash out button, I could basically route those credits back into my phone instead of taking a Tito ticket out of the slot machine. And you could still do that even if you want. You don't have to route the funds back onto your phone. So there's going to be a little bit of player education, but for the most part, as long as they have a smartphone that could display a QR code, they can easily interact with the system, and they don't necessarily have to get deep into 12-word passphrases or anything associated with traditional wallet technology. So there's some things we built in there. For one, allowing them to create their instance of the mobile app, and also restoring it in the event they lose their credentials.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing work there. And you guys, I know we're just at G2E, which is the biggest gambling industry event of the year in the United States, met with lots of people. Just give us an idea of what the reaction was like when you were talking with big operators out there about what BitBoss has created.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you saw at the show, but it seemed like cashless was the hottest topic of that event this year. I hadn't gone. I mean, last year it was canceled, but I hadn't gone in a couple of years. The last time I was there was in 2018, and that was all about sports books and things like that. That was the hot topic then. But a lot of them are looking at cashless solutions. You've seen a couple announcements where properties in Nevada are now turning on cashless. There's some trials across the country. But everyone is out there trying to figure out, what should our strategy be? How does this tie into omnichannel? And what are the differentiators that are between the various different offerings out there, and what makes the most sense for the business? So we had a ton of great meetings out there. Conversations are ongoing. I think getting our first operator up and running will do a lot to get more visibility out there. And I hope to have more announcements for you in the near term on that. But overall, interest was great. They understand the value. I think the regulations being passed in Nevada are really opening the doors. COVID just further accelerated it. And the changing demographic just ties it all back in together in terms of what people want to do and what sort of experience they want to have at a property or, after they leave. So I think the operators are getting that. Some understand more about the power of blockchain, the power of a stable token. Others are looking at more traditional custodial approaches where funds are being held by them or some sorts of payments processor. But a lot of it was just education and just explaining what the art of the possible is and how these next gen fintech companies like BitBoss can really take and revolutionize the experience. So I think you'll see some of them be more on the cutting edge. You'll also have some laggards, but overall, I think most of them are really starting to get it. And I think the iGaming element and the multi-state approach and omnichannel further reinforced why these sorts of non-custodial products are super valuable to operators.
Amazing. And you're so right, Christian. Every PR, anything I saw about G2E was all about cashless solutions. And I think that the BitBoss solution really ticks every box. It's awesome. And I know that actually they've been nominated for Payment Supplier of the Year, I believe, is the SBC North America Awards, which is great. And BitBoss will be there.
For a newcomer. Yeah. So, we submitted in, videos of the overall experience, how particularly the first thing we put in was for how you interact with a table game and how that we've removed that friction to the player experience. That's actually the first thing that we're launching. And then we're adding slots as a second feature of what we're doing. But it just really just changes the player experience. And I think that's what people are finding particularly interesting.
Love it. Always been a huge fan of Matt Dixon and Alex Shore's work. And now that you've joined them too, Christian, this is really great news for BitBoss and for BSB blockchain and for the gambling industry in general. So I really want to thank you so much for your hard work and for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to hearing lots more coming from your end, which I know is coming soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Becky. Looking forward to a follow-up discussion here in the near term.
Outstanding. And thank you guys so much for watching. This is Becky Legiro for Hashing It Out. And thanks for watching CoinGeek.com.